high quality of the discussion, and I think it was very useful. It's a bit sad that we are not more people, but it was. I think it was very useful, at least for myself. I feel that you other guys also enjoyed it. So thank you very much for attending, and thank you for coming back today. Our first speaker today will be Mr. Zarir Irani from Constellation Marine Services. He's a master mariner with over 25 years of work experience in the maritime and oil and gas industry. Capt.zarir Irani is today the managing director of a leading marine consultancy firm, the Constellation Marine Services LLC, which has headquarters in London and with offices in UAE and Singapore. Capt.zarir holds an executive master's in business administration through one of the world's top 20 management institutions. His professional interests focus on oil and gas as a CMID assessor, warranty inspector, and his current projects include rig moves, accident investigation, loadouts, and certificates of approval for project cargo movements. He shares his views with us from his vast experience of executing over 10,000 nominations in the past 11 years that he has spent in and around the Middle East coastal waters and in Singapore. Capt.zarir, please come and entertain us.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back. It's always a little challenging when you get the first slot of the day to speak. But I can assure you, as simple as the topic is today, I will make it humorous, exciting, and some slides will be thought-provoking. Good morning, sir. What I don't like to do, and I get extremely uncomfortable, is when I have a barrier between anyways, two barriers before the audience row starts. My topic today is OSV inspection trends in the Middle East. Having spent 11 years, I can tell you that there is some peculiarity about the region. We heard yesterday, it is one of the regions where growth aspect is mapped in the gloom and doom industry. But I can tell you that there is more to it than that. On one side, there is a huge need for infrastructure as the production keeps pedaling on. On the other hand, there are huge budget restrictions, and there is competency that's all the time questioned, because however flat or calm, relatively speaking, you look at the Arabian Gulf, where operations of OSVs and shallow waters where drilling is relatively shallow waters, 30-40 meters is relatively shallow as compared to some areas of the world. You would imagine that things should have been considerably easy, but it's not so in reality. If you look at the club's statistics, if you look at underwriter statistics, they have enough worry on their heads with claims coming out of even calmer waters of the Persian Gulf, where everyone's boggled down as to what's going on. On one side there's production and ample demand, on the other side there's competency that's still required. And I hate to say that, that's exactly where independents like ourselves and some of us in the room come in, and our eyes are trusted upon, our judgments have been called on, and thankfully so, it keeps us in business. So getting on without much ado, and that's what I wanted to know. Now I know you need not show your hands if you are not an asset owner, but if you are in touch with them or if you have their sentiments, do you think that independent inspections are a cause of concern to operators, owners of barges, support vessels and things. Have you often heard them saying that yet another inspection? Oh my God, what are y'all doing? We just finished the class inspection yesterday and y'all have come today to do another survey. What's going on? I mean, we face it all the time. So I see some nodding heads. So do I take that as a majority yes? If you have heard something like this, can I get a, yeah? So it's majority, I would say 80% are saying yes to that. And multiple inspections in today's world are viewed as extensive diligence. Extensive diligence is something that comes in where operators are saying, we are not understanding what these inspections are for. It's like somebody in his 60s, 70s, with all due respect to seniority in this room, would be sitting down with a nice little row of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday pill slots, and half of them would be filled with all colorful pills. Inspections, in my view, are those pills. Each inspection does the job of a pill. It's for a different purpose. It cures a different illness. It is for a different solution, so to say. Like one has stress, diabetes, Parkinson's, I don't know what all. So they all have one tablet each to keep them all under checks. And some of the dreaded inspections could be classification, flag, port state inspection, suitability surveys for majors, CMEDs, OVIDs, warranty, on hire, off hire, ISM, and then I put in the last one yesterday, preventive maintenance, which Raja was talking about. Let's do thermal imaging and not open necessarily the machinery and get a solution without that. Now, if you ask me, all these inspections, and once you put them all on a slide like this, you would get the point. And if you show this to an operator or to a frustrated superintendent who's looking after a fleet of, let's say, a handful of vessels, he would then get it. But the next day you have another inspection for the same damn thing. He says, open that machine again, I want to see that again, or show me the towage approval again, and you would be pulling out of a case study I've just taken in, and I will try and make this as legible as possible. I think it's good enough. Can you see from there? Yeah. Okay. Now, when you go on board vessels for doing suitability surveys or towage approvals, warranties, whatever, you would rarely find a towage diagram of a particular barge and presented to you with this kind of elaboration. It'll be hand drawn or something like, unless it's really expensive project cargo and somebody's really done it well. What I'm trying to say is, what we do is send a sample out before we go out. Do you have this on board? Can you send me a copy, please? I don't want to be coming there and trying to break my head against the wall, trying to explain to you why all these are required to be put in and why it's got to be in my suitability survey report. And what will the underwriter, half the underwriters will probably pass and say, all right, it's all there, you've seen it, that's it. It's a tick in the box for them. But that as a stereotype, and that's been extremely, extremely used, well used, I would say. Something as detailed as the Norwegian buoy and the length of the line, etc., and the dia, which normally is the most ignored thing, is lying somewhere in the corner and probably is deflated with you looking at it, and then you make them run around helter-skelter to get a proper Norwegian buoy to put in as emergency towing solution. Now, with this simple due diligence, you can lower the stress levels considerably if you're going out for an inspection, and when you have a planned inspection by just scanning this and sending it out. Some of the typical things that you would check is a typical tug and tow gear inspection. Most important aspect of this is you have to send somebody who has got some knowledge of pulling, pushing and towing, practical seagoing experience. That's the starting point. if you don't have that and you go out to do this, you'd probably be talking garble, and people will understand that you are doing that, even though you're wearing an inspector's hat. Simple things that wind speed, currents, not significant wave heights to be added in, and you would have the minimum towing force that is required, bollard pull that is there. Of course, it can't be a 5 or 10-year-old. Some of the towage approvals, bollard pull certificates I've seen are when let's tell them what it is and what not straight away. Ropes, machinery spaces, and the bridge, of course, whether the charts are in place for where they're going. Have to be all checked. I mean, the list goes on. We've got to have simple things like soundings. Yesterday we saw a case about permanent ballast and things, whether the stability is in place for the tow, whether they have sharp tooths which are there, which restrain it. Some of them call it, what is it,
Gobbing arrangement.
Gog. Yeah. So all these things, because there are enough cases out there where tugs have toppled on by just putting excess weight, and stability goes all over the place. There was a fundamental mistake made by the rig move master on this, but that's operational. We're not here to talk about that. But you see, after doing all these checks, which we just talked about, in this case study, you had the tow line of the head lead tug part, for whatever reasons, excessive force or whatever. But the real root cause analysis is the rig move master had no business to start mobilizing when the current was was coming into the jacket. It's a thumb rule, the first mistake that you ever make. Whatever you do, you don't bring a rig onto a jacket when you have current coming into it. Wait for 6 hours when the tide turns and tide's going the other way, then try to pull the jacket in towards. If it had been the other way around, this rig would have continued going away from the jacket instead of coming onto it. Simple of an inspector. I just picked up a seabed inspector, but more or less the most important things, and in the Middle East, I will put my hand up on my heart and say that some of these are very, very easily flaunted by some inspectors out there. And non-biased report, and to modify your professional opinion, how many times do clients try to come back to you saying that, you know what, this finding can never be rectified and the vessel has to go out to the field tomorrow, and you've given us 5 points to rectify before she goes out. There is no way it can be done. We tell him, it's a bullet, come out of this gun. It can't go back in, mate. It's been reported, it's out there, do what you have to. This is our honest view about your vessel. We have evidence, we have photographs about this not being right, that not being right, and the other. But I can say that there are enough people who would go ahead and come under commercial pressures, and statements like, we will never ever give you another inspection, are threats that we keep getting to hear, which really shouldn't be bothersome if you're a thorough professional. An open relationship with the client helps in that case, because you got to have a right value proposition given to them to make them understand. Go out there and do it, but your towing wire has this kink in it, your towing wire has these things coming out of this. Go take your boat there. If your towing wire breaks, God help you. I've seen something with my eyes, my experience, that probably 2 other inspections that you did for various other things had overlooked. But I've seen something sticking out of your towing wire drum, so I told them to unreel it, and I saw a little bit more that was damaged, and here's the photograph of what it looks like. You really want to take her out. Try showing this to your client whom you're moving the rig for, and see if they let your vessel come out. Sometimes, I'd say some of our inspectors as well, especially the newer ones who literally have come out with still the operational aspect in their heads, do not understand that your conclusions have to be very objective. There is no harm in writing 1 sentence more in your punch list saying what may be the consequence of your finding. Sometimes being a little objective, being a little bit more elaborate about your finding goes a damn of proper seamanship, and I don't think you can catch this by just looking at and inspecting a vessel. And when you tell this to an operator and you put this down as a warranty finding that the competency of your master is questionable, he does not understand when to pay out, what to do when the weather picks up, especially pressure bugs. In this case, he'll definitely get pulled up and he'll definitely be advised by the rig move master. But most of the time when they're not towing rigs and they're towing something that's unmanned behind them, they'll have to take the call as master themselves and by themselves alone. And this might be at 2 in the morning. Sometimes a perfectly good towing line may have that because of the peaks and jerks that he gets just by not taking a call and paying out a little more. And that might be one of the significant findings which in my view are to be only experienced. That video is acknowledgement to Statoil. It is one of Statoil's best practices which I've pulled out from. So I do like to give them the acknowledgement on it. But a fantastic example, we saw the earlier due diligence which was not done of the rig drifting onto the jacket. Again, something that was soft skill. Again, that was something that is common sense and seamanship related. Very difficult findings to put on, very difficult and highly contested in our region. We had once had to reject a tug which was absolutely fantastic in condition, nice and new, relatively 3-4 years old vessel. When we started asking questions to the master, I don't want to name the nationality, he couldn't understand us very well. We were asking him questions in absolute proper English, very simple, slowly spoken. He couldn't understand it. He had very, very poor English comprehension, and as a result, we put down a finding saying that change the vessel or get another master. This vessel is not going out to the field, definitely not as the lead tug, which is what was her job, because the master will not understand the rig move master's command, which is going to be in English. The operator came back and said, oh, he's only going to tell him 100%, 50% power, 20%, 20%, 2 points to starboard, 4 points. So there's much more to that. That might happen in a normal tow. There's an emergency situation where he has
There's the highly theoretical approaches, but also the practical approaches. I like to see that.
Yeah.
You mentioned communication. It is extremely important to understand English, not only understanding the English words, but also understanding the meaning behind it.
Yes, yes. There you go. Yes, indeed.
So, are there any questions to Capt.zarir? I'm sure you have.
All those whom I asked questions to yesterday, other than Raja, everybody else is gone, thankfully. You were there yesterday.
We did have a very open discussion yesterday, and probably a lot of topics were discussed.
Well, yeah, thank you.